Dr. Jessica Ash here. I have the honor of discussing how to heal narcissism and welcoming back Bird Mejia. So stay tuned. Hi again. I'm so happy to welcome Bird Mejia back for her second appearance on our channel. Welcome.
Hello, beautiful one. I'm so happy to be with you here again today.
Me too. So I want to start by telling you that on Clubhouse this morning, there was this amazing room about how to heal narcissism. And there were men and women in there discussing how like when you're in the throes of a narcissist, you think you're the one who has the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And they called it a mind FUCK.
Yes.
And it's so true. And you don't see, and the tragedy is that you don't see it until you see it. And then it can be so late.
Yes, exactly. I actually just got done about 20 minutes ago doing a workshop on 21 steps to heal narcissism. And I shared my story. And that's exactly like, for a lot of us have no idea. I didn't know until I had done my healing journey a few years before I left my narcissistic relationship. And I still didn't know it was narcissism, right? And because of my healing journey, I left. But it wasn't until I actually was leaving, that's when I realized. And I know a friend of mine said to me, I think that you're dealing with a narcissist. I said, no, because it's got such a negative stigma. Like, I was like, no, that's not what it is. And I think that's what's challenging about it, is because it's emotional abuse. And most people don't have any idea they're in it. And you can't tell somebody that you're in it, because one of the characteristics is that you're manipulated to protect your abuser, basically. So I know people right now that are friends of mine, are like, acquaintance friends. I can spot a narcissistic relationship, a narcissist. Like, I just have radar, and like, I know that I can. I'm like, in time they will come to me, and it might be 5 years, it might be 10 years, it might be 20 years. But what's hard about it is that you don't know. And the challenging thing is that a lot of times, like you said, when you do find out, the damage has been great. Dr. Christiane Northrup does a lot of work on this. She has a book, if you have not watched it, Dodging Energy Vampires. She says, and she's a medical doctor, that she believes that this is the biggest health epidemic in the world, that it shows up. It'll show up in your body, because what they're doing, essentially, we're energetic beings. You're getting your energy depleted. And no matter what you're doing, if you're meditating and doing yoga and eating healthy, you raise your vibration. When you're with someone that is lower vibration, which an energy vampire is, a narcissist is, your energy just completely flatlines. It gets depleted. So it will show up. Then your body's going to have to take it out of your energy store. So things like, adrenal fatigue, fibromyalgia. So many people have that. Even cancer, lots of different things are in the body. It shows up in the body. And if it devastates the mind, your emotions, you feel like you're crazy, it causes pain. And then it can continue with the cycle if you have children with it, because then you have to protect your children, and they will try to manipulate the children. And it can be really challenging. And I just want to speak this before I give the mic back to you here, is that when I was going through it, and even to this day, and I have some beautiful friends, I don't know anyone, I've never met someone that really understands it unless they've been through it. It's a thing. A lot of people just think, oh, it's overused. And yes, it is overused. Just because someone's an asshole doesn't mean they're a narcissist. But when you are really with a narcissist, and a lot of times this is a legacy, I feel like it's a legacy of generational trauma. So a lot of times it's showing up. with, a parent, a grandmother. And it doesn't have to be full blown like narcissistic personality disorder. Sometimes if you've not healed from it, a lot of times you're going to have a continuum. You're going to have some narcissistic characteristics if you've not healed from it. And that's how it is getting passed on.
And, to give you I want to give people who are watching who may not be aware, they may be aware that their relationship might be unhealthy, but maybe that's all they don't really understand it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember here's one statement that's a clue. It's only one of many, but I shouldn't. It's not a funny statement, but if your partner says to you, I go to work and I make money and I bring it to this house, and your job is to give me sex, that's a narcissist.
Yes. Yes.
Can you come up with any other statements that a narcissist might say, or what are your thoughts right now?
You're crazy. A lot of times they're going to tell you, or you're too sensitive. And this is like gaslighting. So a lot of times, you can gaslight and not be a narcissist, but these are often warning signs. So you're told that you're too sensitive. Yeah, like you're crazy. I mean, I think that's the big one that was for me.
And you're stupid.
Yeah. Yes, you're stupid. Or just, there's a whole continuum. It shows up different for everybody. So I know when I look at mine, my particular one has a lot of characteristics, not all of them. So I think everything is different, but you're always blamed. Yes. Whenever there's an argument, you're always blamed, and you always protect them. A lot of times you're protecting, and
like they'll say, we've had this conversation before and we concluded that conversation, so we're not talking about it again.
Yes, something like that. Or you're having an argument and you're apologizing. Like, in my situation, he'd be cheating, and then all of a sudden you're apologizing and taking the blame. Well, I know I'm not doing this, or I should be doing this, and I heard him doing this. So you are always like taking a look at yourself, finding why you are to blame, and they are either blatantly telling you that they're blame, or they're manipulating you so that you're actually so it comes from even the gaslighting comes from this movie where this man, I haven't watched the movie, but an old movie back in the day, where a man was making his wife think that I think he was doing something to the lights or something, making her think that she was crazy, right? So basically that's kind of what it's doing. It's like every time there's an argument, it's your fault. It is constant. And there's a cycle of drama. So if you have a lot of drama in your relationship, be careful. Like it's like you have cycles, and it might show up as a rage storm. Like out of the blue, you'll just be going along, out of the blue, they'll be mad at you for something. You did something. And a lot of times it's not even something that you really did wrong, but they'll be mad at you. Like there'll be a rage storm, and it's just like, it's unexpected. It's not logical. Right. You're getting blamed. It's a rage storm. And then it'll be followed by silent treatment. And with silent treatment, so you get addicted to this pattern. When they're in the silent treatment, you want to get them back, right? And then they end it with love bombing. And the love bombing is really wonderful. Like, you are the most amazing woman in the world.
Or they just give you money.
Yeah.
Because that's all they can give.
Yeah. Yeah. So whatever, I guess it is, whatever form their form of, we have the 5 love languages. So if their love languages is gifts and they know yours, there might be money, or it might be compliments. It might be gifts. I already said gifts, or it might be acts of service. They're going to bombard you with this love bombing. So because of that, you're thinking, oh, this person really loves me. And you get hooked. And it keeps doing the cycle, and it's this drama cycle that goes over and over and over. And then you think things are better, and they're not. And then another characteristics is they're usually cheating. And the reason why, when a narcissist first comes, so you have to imagine, okay, so I believe this is a cycle of generational trauma. So first of all, and there's disagreement about that. Dr. Christian Northrup thinks that this is just kind of psychopathic behavior and it can't get healed. I agree that if someone like has all the characteristics, I think there's a spectrum. Like there's a spectrum. Someone can have characteristics if they've been abused by a narcissist, or then there's also people that just have narcissistic personality disorder. I don't know that they're going to change. The ones that in my situation, like you have to just protect yourself. So when there's this continuum, so first of all, it comes from trauma. And so it's a person that basically they've taken their ego because they've been deep down, they don't feel lovable. Deep down, they don't feel like they're worthwhile. And a lot of times, again, it could have been actually trauma, abuse when they were children, or a legacy that they inherited, right? So inward, they don't feel lovable. And so what they've done is outward, they make sure that they are getting everything they need from others. They're getting like narcissistic supply. So a lot of times a narcissist is very charismatic, is very successful.
Yes.
They know, if it's a man or woman, like they're good with the opposite sex. So a lot of times, they're desirable and they love to get that attention. They want the opposite sex to desire them. They're really good at it. They're really beautiful with their words. They're charming. So a lot of times these are really beautiful people, it's physically, aesthetically, because they've learned to make themselves look good, appealing, because they get energy from that. So a lot of times when you start a relationship, you are the target. They're getting you. So they're bombarding you with whatever it is for that person. It can look different for everybody, so it might look like love letters or flowers or date, whatever the thing is. You're getting bombarded. You really love, you're like, oh my goodness, where did this person come from, blah blah blah. And they're very devoted. They're not like,
they hide any kind of negative anger. Like they're not going to yell at you until they've got you.
Yes, until they've got you. Yes, exactly. And then they also are a lot of times they've done studies on it. A lot of times they actually won't do the cheating in the beginning because they're trying to lock you in. Once you're locked in and they're getting their attention, it's almost kind of like they've gotten it all from you and they need more to fill up their ego, to fill up so they feel good. So then they're going to start seeking others, and then you're going to start seeing cheating going on. And usually they are compulsive liars. And so if you go through it, and usually there's a cycle, when there's a breakup, like this is what's really painful, because if you've been with one, they will be telling, like, and if you've had a circle that's intertwined, you're close with the family and friends, they will tell everybody complete lies about you. They will project everything. So if they're the one that cheated, they're telling everybody that you had all these illicit affairs and you did all this stuff. If they were the one that was abusive, they're telling everybody that you're abusive. So whatever they've done, they project that onto you, and people believe them. And you might be in a situation where people are on Facebook, you going live, the person's, whether it's a man or woman. And I do want to say that, a lot of times we assume that this is just women are having this with men, but that's not true. Women are narcissists as well, and men are abused in these situations as well. And the men that I know that have been there, I've been just devastated, because, a lot of times women, even if you don't have a friend that understands exactly what it's like, a lot of times you have a circle of female friends that you can at least go to. I think a lot of times men, it's like they don't feel safe. Like, what's a man going to say? Like, why are you letting a woman like punk? Like, why are you letting a woman like?
I think we can even take gender out of it, because I have many friends who are gender fluid, and I don't want to be binary in our conversation either.
Yes, beautiful.
There's one other thing they try to do is eventually, not in the beginning. In the beginning, they're just overwhelming you with how amazing they are and how much they love you. But then after a while, they're trying to isolate you from all other input. Yes. They want to be the sole source of information for you. Mm-hmm. And they will say things like, just because you have friends now, that doesn't mean you're likable. Your friends are stupid. How can you have friends? This kind of statement.
Yes. Because ultimately they're doing whatever they can to make you feel bad. And they're going to isolate you. So a way you can a way you can spot someone else having it, a way you can spot you having it is they're going to tell you things about your family or friends. This person is got this issue, or this person's, they'll do things to basically take the people out your life that could open you up to what's going on. So they're going to isolate you. So you're going to start noticing that you don't have a lot of close family and friends around you anymore. And if you notice someone in your life that's had that happen to, and the thing is, I know when I left mine, my brother contacted me and he said, thank God I have my sister back. He said, all those years I knew that if I said something too much, that you were going to completely discommunicate me from your life. And I would have, because I was like, one of the things is that you protect them. You're like, no. And I protected, like nobody knew what was going on. I didn't speak because I was always building him up like he's an amazing man. He does this and da da da. I didn't tell, people didn't know about all the stuff. People didn't know how many fights we got into, how I was crying all the time, how I felt, all the cheating. Everything was protection. So that's another.
Yeah, and they've got you convinced that you're worthless,
Mm-hmm.
and they thrive on that. Like when I finally started counseling, the people were saying that actually the person who is the subject or the object of the narcissist, they're the one with the strength, and that the narcissist actually is very, very emotionally weak,
Yes.
and that they're just. Not only that they're sucking your energy, they're sucking off of you. They're living off of your emotional strength.
Yes. Exactly.
And so when you if you're able to free yourself of the situation, suddenly you'll find all of this strength to, not suddenly, it took a very, very long time for me, but you will eventually find your strength you didn't know you had.
Yeah. I'm going to say yes, but then I'm also going to say not always, because I believe a lot of people end up dying from this. I know, for example, when I was going through this, I had a friend at work that she was one that said, you're dealing with a narcissist. And I was like, no. She actually, her best friend had been married to someone that was a narcissist, and she had been a stay-at-home mom, and she had some heart issues when she was a young woman. And when they split up, he went to court, and because they're pathological liars, he made her look like she was a completely crazy, unfit mother. And because she hadn't been working, she didn't have any income. So he got sole custody and did everything he could to manipulate her kids against him. And a little while after, she died of a heart attack from a broken heart. So
I believe that.
Yeah. So I don't know. The thing is that a lot of times, people say that it will heal in time. In this situation, it won't heal in time unless you set out to do the healing journey. Right. This isn't naturally, because in a regular breakup, time will heal it, right? When you have a regular breakup, a regular divorce, different stuff, a lot of times time will heal it. When you have a narcissistic abuse, and especially if you don't know what it is, time's not going to heal it, because it's done a number on you. It's done a number on your self-esteem, on your self-worth. It's done a number on your body. You don't trust your own intuition. You don't trust even your decision making, because you've been so emotionally abused. And unless you acknowledge, for me, the first step on healing this is to acknowledge it as abuse. If you don't know it's abuse, time's not going to heal it. You have to do that work to heal it. And yes, I do like how you talked about that. You are the strong one, right? You are the strong one. When you come into the relationship, you are the one that has a lot of light and has a lot of love. Again, Dr. Christian Northrup talks about super traits that a lot of times empaths, and an empath is somebody that can feel energy, that is really emotionally connected, but she calls them old soul empaths that have super traits. Like, we are successful. These are a lot of people that are in narcissistic relationships are successful in so many areas in their life, except the relationship. It's like we are hardworking, we are industrious, we are smart, we will stick to things. We have compassion, we have great hearts, we are like, we do all these amazing things. Like a lot of times we are the ones that are running our successful businesses, we're doing great in our careers, we have done well in schools, whatever it is that we do, we're successful in it. But because of those super traits are actually what connects us to a narcissist. And this is my belief. I hear all these memes about that, with an empath attracts a narcissist because of their light. They're attracted to the light. Yes. But traditionally, if you think light and dark are going to repel each other, what is attracted? So if you look at a narcissist that deep down, they don't really love themselves. Deep down, the darkness in them is the toxicity where they don't feel worthwhile. They don't feel lovable. That's what is in you when you're attracted. So a lot of times we're coming from even lineages of trauma that we don't realize in our families. So what I didn't realize is that deep down, like I didn't think I was enough. Deep down, I thought I had to be perfect in order to be loved. And when you think you have to be perfect, this is a legacy of shame. And sometimes the shame is your stuff, but sometimes the shame was your mother's stuff or your grandmother's stuff or your grandfather's stuff. Sometimes it's because we inherit the DNA of the energy field and the trauma. It was the part of me that didn't feel like I was enough, that I didn't feel worthy, all these unhealed, that I didn't really deeply love myself. And I thought I loved myself. If someone had told me that I'm like, yes, I love myself. I have lots of confidence. And then also the part of you that you can't receive, right? If you don't know how to receive, if you can't receive love, if you can't receive compliments, even if you're struggling financially, a lot of times that is about not being able to receive abundance, love, financial abundance into your life. If you can't receive, that's a form of not being able to love yourself. And that's why I believe a narcissist comes into your life. I look at it as all relationships come to help us heal and to learn to love ourselves. And if there's a narcissist in your life, you have been given the beautiful, sacred duty to heal yourself. And as you heal yourself, you heal the 7 generations before you and the 7 generations after you. I think sometimes in our families, those of us that have it, because a lot of times we look at our families and we're like, why is this happening to us? I'm weak. Because you've already been beaten down. Like, why did this happen? You wake up 5 years later, 10 years later, 20 years later, whatever, how many years, and you're just like, oh my God, like, and then if it's showing up in your body, you're beating yourself up. Like, how come other people have that? How come? But the truth is that I believe that you're the strong soul in your family that was given this meeting so that you could do the deep healing. And when you do the deep healing, you heal the generations. And not all of us are giving that duty to do the deep healing. So if you're here, don't feel bad about it. Like, you're strong. You're strong to have bumped into a narcissist in the first place.
This brings up a point about life, that we can look at the bad things that happen to us and say, oh, why is this happening to me? Or we can say, hey, I have to overcome this. And there are things that we all have to overcome in life. And I mean, you said it very well, but we're talking about the trait of resilience now. That stop saying, why did this happen to me? And start grappling with, okay, how do I overcome it now?
Yes.
And I want to say that this conversation exists for me on a broad spectrum of mental health awareness, because, and I'm having a conversation with a gentleman in 2 weeks about instilling emotional awareness in youth in the school system. And I know, like, people have this stigma still about mental health. And I'm going to say, I have been in counseling almost my whole life and I love it. Do you want to get your advice from another 16-year-old or from your sister who also may not be stable? Or do you want to get it from a professional? And as a human being, we have emotions, and we have to learn how to be aware of them as children, how to manage them, how to, how to ignore that anger, and how to mitigate conflict, how to move beyond it. And I'm out there to destigmatize mental health awareness, because we all have emotions. And if you look at the world right now, we could all use a little bit of emotional awareness and emotional management.
Yes. Yes, yes. So yes to that. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for sharing a piece of your story on that. It's powerful because you're learning so much with that healing and with that learning over the years. That's beautiful. Yes.
So yeah, and so back to the specific topic today that's near and dear to my heart. As you know, I learned about that. There's and I may have this exact statistic wrong, but something like 10% of all of the C class, like CIOs, CEOs, COOs, are psychotic. Like literally, they are psychopaths. And I want to say this the right way. I don't want to destigmatize psychopaths, but I want to build awareness that psychopaths aren't only people like Silence of the Lamb murderers.
Yes.
Like psychopaths are strategic and ruthless.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they become the heads of these huge organizations, because they're ruthless.
Yes, I love that you mentioned that. And, so if you're working for one, or you're working in an environment with one, or your relationship with one, I do think you're right, and this is why it's so damaging, especially when you try to get out, is because a lot of times these are, right? The successful, the CEOs, the successful entrepreneurs, the doctors, the lawyers, even the psychiatrists, right? The healers, I'm a healer, and I can recognize it. I recognize in my circle some healers that are like, and that's why it's so hard when you leave, because you're confronted with somebody that's got all this prestige, but that's what they're doing, is that they need that. So they're acquiring those things, even the power and the money and whatever it is in their circle, they're making themselves up. So when they're trying to put you down, people believe you, and that's why you second guess yourself. You're like, oh my God, am I crazy? One of the things that you are not a narcissist is when you are, like, you question. You're like, am I the narcissist or are they the narcissist? They will. I know when mine was, and I was, oh my goodness, I was a young woman when I met him, and he was the first man I ever slept with, and I never slept with anyone else during the entire marriage. Right? He had lots of things, and then he was telling me to people, and he would on his phone, he's like, you were sneaking out, you were having an affair with a neighbor man, and he was going on this list of all this stuff I was doing. And I remember at a moment I was like, Bert, are you sure you don't have a split personality where you're checking out and you do these things? Is there any other evidence in your life that you have some kind of a split personality like in the movies? I had to go in there because they've been beating you down so much, but they're so convincing. I tell my friends, I said, you could sit with him and he would tell you these things about me, and you know me so well and you've loved me, and you would be questioning me right now. He's that good at it.
Oh, yeah.
Manipulative. And it's hard, so that's what you're going against, and it makes you question your sanity. And a lot of times they're coming at you with, you are the one that is a narcissist. You are the one that's got the mental illness. You are crazy. You are sick. You need to go get some help. And because emotionally abused, and yes, you do need some help,
right?
But you need some help with a healer or with a good therapist that can help you. You need some help because you've been emotionally abused. That's the kind of help you need.
I want to tell you that we have had comments. We had one from Nigeria, and then we've had one from Algeria. And I'd love to get more people from other cultures involved in this conversation, because someone might be thinking, oh, this is a USA, this is a first world problem. But Have you seen the despots in every country in Africa? Like, this problem exists all over the world, and it has different faces. It has a different face in Pakistan and a different one in Afghanistan. But I mean, think about the Taliban in this light.
That's powerful. I like that. It's powerful. You're right. It does. It's going to show up differently in different parts of the world, in different cultures, but it's still going to have the same core characteristics. And for me, my legacy came from, I believe it came from my Mexican grandfather. And I loved my abuelito. It was like a secret. And I think because of the trauma, a lot of communities around the world and diverse communities have had trauma. All of us have had so many of us have had trauma, and I believe that is the legacy of it. And I think it's important to note, like, even where you're from, what kind of stigma even around abuse. A lot of times people don't even acknowledge emotional abuse as abuse, but it is a really hard abuse because you don't even know what's going on, and it causes like damage in just hard ways that it can affect you for your entire life. It can literally kill you. It can pass on the pain to your children, because if you don't know what's going on, and if you do figure it out, if you've been beaten down and you're not allowed and you've been shamed and blamed by, even people, like, it hurts. It hurts. First of all, it hurts when you're with somebody that you have loved. So I want to mention this, like, one of the hard things about it is that you have to grieve this if you've been with a narcissist, because it's not like a regular relationship or a regular breakup or a regular kind of divorce where, there was initially some love and then it was, going the different ways, or it was a betrayal. You have to remember that this person never had the capacity to love you. It looked like they were, but they never had the capacity to love you. All right. So you're coming from that. So your heart is broken in so many ways. And, that needs to be addressed. But a lot of times you don't know that this is abuse. And if you don't know this is abuse and you've been so beaten down by it because you've never really been loved, and this person's telling you and people are believing it, and it can break your heart when somebody in your circle, maybe it's a good friend, or maybe it's even somebody in your family or their family that you care about, or even if you're just on social media and they're saying these things about you, that's what I struggled with for such a long time. I'm like, if I talk about this, I'm going to get demolished, and he's going to be telling people he's going to be making up these lies about me having these affairs. And for me, like, that was important for me. Like, yeah. I had made these choices in my life to be really precise on who I slept with, and that was something that was important. And I had honored myself on being a beautiful mother, and he was decimating me on, you were emotionally abusing our daughter and doing all this stuff. And like, they get you where it really hurts. So it creates fear. So for me, a long time, I'm like, I'm not talking about this because the consequence, and then even the drama, they want to pull you into this drama, into this fighting. They feed off the drama. So it can be really devastating and really hurtful. And a lot of times it can just blindside you and you're like, what is going on? And then you're right, because for years you've been emotionally abused. And when you're emotionally abused, you're a strong person, but you've been emotionally abused for years. So you're not at your power then, because
you have to regain your strength.
You have to regain your strength. So yes, I love that you talk about the other cultures, because, and if you're watching this from another part of the world, you're probably...
there are cultures where women aren't allowed to leave the house.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, wake up. And I know that I'm going to get nailed for that because I'm international. But if women aren't allowed to leave the house, that's really a narcissistic thing. Mm-hmm. I'm going to get slammed for that, but I just have to call that like it is. So one of the things I want to say is reiterate, we're almost out of time. I want to reiterate that if you think you might be in this situation, first of all, don't feel guilty because that person spent a long time pulling you in and acting like a chevalier and making you feel safe. And then wham, they're going to come. So don't feel guilty. You were lulled into it. And then I'm hoping that you have advice for people who are considering exiting this relationship, because when you exit the relationship, it is the most dangerous time. Can you give some people advice who are considering exiting that relationship?
Yeah, so I would say before you exit, and if it's like life threatening, then you need to do what you need to do right then. But make sure you've started a healing journey and some type of, whether meditation practice, something where you're starting the healing journey where you're starting to regain your strength, because you're going to need your strength, and you're going to need to see clearly what's going on, and to know that you are not crazy, and to know that you are lovable. And so I would say to start that, and then to have some type of safety network that can help protect you. Whether, even if it's someone online that you can connect to that can give you advice, there's lots of really good information on the internet. Melanie Tanya Evans has lots of beautiful YouTube videos. Start educating yourself on it, because she's got different stuff on exactly this, like when you're going to leave, what to do. Dr. Christiane Northrup has it. So do some of the research so that you're prepared in case, well, not in case, it's going to get ugly. And then
Before you confront your narcissist, make sure you have money somewhere else, because they're going to clamp down all the money.
yes, good.
And so make sure you have money somewhere else. Make sure you have a safe place to go.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to have a safe place to go, and you need to have money elsewhere.
Yes. And, in my case, I didn't have money elsewhere. We were struggling, and we were barely making rent at that time, and he was still living with it because he wasn't doing it. So I had to work an extra job and save some money in order to have enough so that I could exit. So kind of have a plan if you're in a situation like that. I was putting it aside, and I didn't tell him, like, I had another credit card that I was putting money on, and like I didn't let him know that was happening. So yes, have a plan. And then where you're going, the advice of no contact is important. No contact. A lot of times women, and not women and men, all beings get pulled back into it because they start having contact. And one of our traits is compassion, right? And because we have compassion, they're going to do what they can to get their supply back. Yes. So no contact. And if you can't do no contact, for example, I am a mother, so we had a child, you don't feed into the drama. They're going to do all this drama to get you fighting, to get you into that. Every time you feed into the drama, you're feeding the supply, and you're hooking yourself in, and you're losing your energy. Everything's just matter of fact. So if it's getting a lawyer involved, if it's someone communicating, everything is just like, I'm doing, like, instead of you get a big email about things, you answer in 2 lines. It's just fact. It's just boom, boom. You don't get involved, period, no matter what they're doing to try to pull you back in. So for me, when I left, he was amazing. And I had this dream that I could end a relationship, end a marriage, because we had a child together, and we'd have a Thanksgiving where I was with my spouse and he was with his spouse, and we'd have this beautiful thing. So I had this illusion still, and I didn't understand what was going on and what I was in. But no, so he was being amazing and loving. And as soon as he realized I was not coming back, just horrific. It was just, the behavior was horrific. It was literally trying to destroy me. So no contact, and don't go back.
Yeah.
Don't go back.
Well, I want to thank you for being here with us today. Will you come back and talk again with us?
Yeah. So I know we were going to talk about chakras.
Yes, that's right. Okay, we'll do that next time.
Yes.
So do you have any last words?
I guess my last word is to remember what a beautiful being you are. And if you've had this, and I had said this before, I just wanted to reiterate it. If you've had this, you have been given the holy honor, sacred duty to heal yourself. And as you heal yourself, you'll heal the generations before you and after you. And it's hard, but it's almost like you've chosen to go to Harvard. You've gone through something really hard so that you can heal this lineages, and you can and will get through this. If you're watching this, you're going to get through this. And if you have children, you don't know how it's going to be. As you heal, your children will too.
Yes, that's very true. I have the shivers from that statement, all the healing. Okay, I think we'll end on that note. Thank you.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
thank you. Send you so much, Ike.
You've been listening to Bird Mejia and I discuss how to heal from narcissism. So thank you for being with us today.